Dear students, in this lecture, we are going to study the history of the early satyagrahas that were conducted by Mahatma Gandhi. So till now, we have seen that Mahatma Gandhi had a successful political career in South Africa. He was living in South Africa for 21 years. And when did he come back to India? So he came back to India in 1915. So after coming back to India in 1915, Gandhi ji had decided that he is not going to take political plunge immediately, but he was touring different parts of the countries to understand the problems of different sections of the society. So it is the story of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi becoming Mahatma, because till 1915 he was just a politician. He was just like any other politician or a lawyer politician who had some credibility because he had a successful political career in South Africa. But when it came to Indian politics, he was yet to show his true colors, or he was yet to prove his leadership capabilities. So for 2 years, between 1915 to 1917, Mahatma Gandhi kept touring various parts of the countries. So after that, he took an active political plunge. So as soon as he joined the active politics, so within a year, he had launched 3 different satyagrahas. So it is the story of those 3 satyagrahas before he became a mass leader, before he became an all India figure. So let us see. So we are specifically limiting ourselves to the 3 early satyagrahas of Gandhi ji. So after his successful stint in South Africa, it was time for Gandhi ji to try his tactics in his homeland, India. He had returned back to India on 9th of January 1915. So he tries to experiment with satyagraha at a small scale before he goes for a mass movement. So actually this technique of satyagraha he had already used when he was in South Africa. So now he wants to experiment it because he was determined that he is going to free India. He is going to fight against the Britishers. So before taking a full scale plunge into politics, he decides that let me check if my technique works with Indian people or not. So all his experiments were a huge success and thus lay the foundation of non-cooperation movement which shook the British Raj. So Gandhi ji's first all India level movement was non-cooperation movement that started almost around 1920. So before that, that means from the time period of 1917 to the time period of 1918, Gandhi ji was experimenting. He was visiting different parts of the countries. He was taking some local issues, not some all India level issues, because he wanted to experiment first. So Gandhi ji undertook 3 regional satyagrahas before taking plunge into national level movements. So these 3 satyagrahas are what we are going to study in this lecture. So in chronological order, the first satyagraha launched by Mahatma Gandhi on Indian soil. Remember, we are talking about Indian soil because he had already launched a satyagraha when he was in South Africa. So the first satyagraha was Champaran Satyagraha, which began in 1917. So all these satyagrahas are local level satyagrahas. So Champaran is in Bihar. The second satyagraha that he did was Ahmedabad mill strike. That means workers of this mill were on strike. So Mahatma Gandhi went and stood with the workers. We will see in great detail. The third was Kheda Satyagraha. So Kheda is also in Gujarat. So this was a local problem because the taxes of the farmers were increased and farmers were not in a position to pay those taxes. So again Mahatma Gandhi went to their rescue and started a local level movement. So three satyagrahas, all three are regional satyagrahas. They are not national level satyagrahas, because Mahatma Gandhi is experimenting before he could launch a nationwide satyagraha. So please remember, these are not nationwide satyagrahas. So let's study each satyagraha one by one. So first one, or the first satyagraha conducted by Mahatma Gandhi on Indian soil was Champaran Satyagraha. So let's see what it was. The Champaran Satyagraha is marked as India's first civil disobedience movement. So what is civil disobedience meaning? Civil means citizens of India. Disobedience, do not obey the rules made by the British government. You simply go against the government. You don't have to fight with guns. You don't have to kill somebody. Simply start disobeying. So it was a first civil disobedience movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi. So Gandhi ji launched the movement to protest against the exploitation of the indigo farmers of Champaran. So Champaran Satyagraha was basically a farmer related problem. Indigo farmers. What is indigo? So indigo was a substance used to color clothes, to wash clothes. So now in today's time we use detergent to wash clothes. So in those times indigo was also used while washing clothes, because it was also used to give color to the cloth. It was a blue color. So basically the farmers of Champaran, not only Champaran but most of the Bengal, because Bihar was also once upon a time part of Bengal. It got separated in 1912. So before that all of Bengal had the same problem. That means farmers there were forced to grow indigo. Why were they forced? What was the problem? The problem was they did not want to grow indigo. Why? Because indigo was not very profitable business. Because see what Britishers used to do. They used to force these farmers to grow indigo. Then they used to buy it at cheap price and then send it back to Europe. So farmers did not gain anything. Farmers had two choices. Either they grow rice, wheat, sugarcane, these type of crops, or they grow indigo. So if they grow indigo, all the profit goes to British people. So why should they grow indigo? So that's why Britishers were forcing them. So Champaran Satyagraha was basically an attempt to stop this forcible cultivation of indigo. So what was the outcome? Champaran Satyagraha was a successful campaign and the exploitative policies of the British government were brought to an end. So that is the overview of Champaran Satyagraha. So now let's see in detail. What was the problem in Champaran? Why did Mahatma Gandhi go there? So Champaran is a district in Bihar. So Champaran district consisted of large zamindari estates owned by rich Indian zamindars. So what were these zamindars? So there had been permanent settlement of Bengal in 1793. It was done by Lord Cornwallis. So after that, these zamindars came up. So what were zamindars? Zamindars were basically the owners of the land given to them by government. So government had given them land and government have made them zamindars. Zameen means land. So landholders. So zamindars were basically given the authority to collect tax, and this land, suppose this land is given to zamindar, so more than 500 farmers are working on this land. All these 500 farmers are like, you can say, employees of these zamindars. These farmers have to pay different kind of taxes to zamindar, and the responsibility of the zamindar was to collect all this tax and pass it on to the government. So that was the zamindari system. So all these zamindars were mostly Indians, you have to remember that. So what did these zamindars of Champaran do? Instead of taking care of these lands themselves, they leased it out to British plantation owners. What is plantation owner? They cultivate same crop on a large, vast land. For example, there is tea plantation, there is coffee plantation. So back then there was also indigo plantation. So these British plantation workers became the owners of these lands. They were not real owners, but they had these lands on lease. These British owners forced the farmers who were bounded to a particular state. That means one farmer was bound to this state. If he is a farmer, he knows that every morning he have to go and work in these fields. He have to work under this zamindar. So these British owners forced the farmers who were bound to a particular state to grow indigo on their field. This indigo was then bought by these Europeans at throwaway price. That means at very cheap price. So it means you are forcing the farmers and also you are not giving them proper amount. So it is complete exploitation of farmers. European planters were mere tenure holders because the real owners were these zamindars. But still these European peoples, they also started collecting taxes and rents from these peasants, because these farmers, they used to build their homes, they used to live here, they used to take water from there. So 21 different type of taxes were levied on these farmers. If you take water, you have to pay water tax. If you build a house, you have to pay rent. So all different types of taxes were collected not by zamindars but by these Britishers. So before Champaran Satyagraha, the farmer of Champaran used to follow Panchkatiya system. Panchkatiya means 5 out of a kattha. Now what is Panchkatiya system? 5 kattha system, whereby 5 katthas of land in a bigha had to be planted with indigo. Now bigha is a unit to measure land, bigha. So 1 bigha is equal to 20 katthas. So bigha is also a unit of land, kattha is also a unit of land. So 1 bigha is equal to 20 katthas. So out of 20 katthas, suppose there are 20 katthas. So out of 20 katthas, that means 1 bigha is equal to 20 kattha. 5 katthas were mandatorily meant to grow indigo. That means 5 out of 20 parts of whatever land the farmer had, he had to compulsorily grow indigo. So you have to remember this fact. Deenbandhu Mitra of Bengal wrote a play Neel Darpan, very commonly asked question. From where did this agitation start? Somebody have to take lead. So the first person who raised his voice was a writer, was an author. His name was Deenbandhu Mitra. He was a Bengali. He wrote a play Neel Darpan. So much before Mahatma Gandhi's Champaran Satyagraha, he had written a play Neel Darpan to attract the attention of Europeans towards what was happening with indigo farmers. So you have to remember, question is asked, who had written Neel Darpan? Answer is Deenbandhu Mitra. So after a local agitation, because now people are raising their voice, so after a local agitation, the Panchkatiya system was changed to Teen Katiya system. Panchkatiya means 5 parts out of 20. Now agitation is going on, so Britishers changed this, that okay, we are giving some concession to you. Now out of 20, only 3 parts are to be mandatorily reserved for growing indigo. So this is the crux of the Champaran problem. So now, how did Mahatma Gandhi got involved into all this? So somebody must have told him. So let's see, how did Mahatma Gandhi came to know about this. So let's see. Rajkumar Shukla, please remember this name, very commonly asked question. He is the person who he literally dragged Mahatma Gandhi to Champaran. Rajkumar Shukla, a local farmer from Champaran, was not happy with the obnoxious system of agricultural labor prevailing in Champaran. So as German had discovered artificial dye, so indigo had become valueless for the Europeans, because Germany had already discovered artificial dye. So what was the use of indigo now? Indigo was used as an artificial dye. Still Indian farmers were forced to grow indigo, which caused huge agricultural loss. Why? Because Britain and Germany, they were not friends. So Britain did not want to import that from Germany, and they want to exploit Indian farmers. Again, these are important facts. So I have tried to include all those facts that have been asked in previous year question paper, so that you don't miss out on any. So Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi was an editor in Kanpur who wrote an article, Champaran Ka Andhera, commonly asked question. Who wrote this essay? It was an essay published in his own newspaper, and this was addressed to Congress. He had written an open letter to Congress, because now everybody was getting aware that something wrong is going on in Champaran. Farmers are very unhappy. So now people are writing letters to politicians. So he is writing an open letter in his newspaper that something is wrong in Champaran. I want to draw your attention, draw the attention of Congress politicians. So it is Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi who suggested Rajkumar Shukla to meet Gandhi, because Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi, he used to visit Champaran. So Gandhi ji, he had already earned respect in Congress, because he had become famous already when he was in South Africa. So people had trust in him. That's why Rajkumar Shukla wanted to meet Gandhi. He knew that Gandhi ji is such a person who is famous for launching satyagrahas, for fighting against British. So that's why he thought that why should I not approach Gandhi? So Gandhi ji was attending the 31st session of Congress in Lucknow. So that was held in 1916, December of 1916. So he reaches there, Rajkumar Shukla and Sant Raut. So Rajkumar Shukla and Sant Raut was a zamindar from Champaran, but he was not a bad zamindar. He was a good zamindar. He wanted to help the farmers, and he was a friend of Rajkumar Shukla. So both these people now, they want to meet Mahatma Gandhi. Rajkumar Shukla and Sant Raut, they want to meet Mahatma Gandhi. So what do? They also go to Congress session of Lucknow. See, they were not Congress leaders. They were ordinary people. Still they went to the Congress session of Lucknow. Why? Because they wanted to meet Mahatma Gandhi. And there, they see, till now, he is not Mahatma. Though I am using the word Mahatma Gandhi, he is just Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He is yet to become Mahatma. So this is the story of Gandhi becoming Mahatma. So they persuaded Mahatma Gandhi to go to Champaran. Who persuaded Mahatma Gandhi to go to Champaran? The answer is Rajkumar Shukla. You may not get Sant Raut as option. Most of the time you will get only Rajkumar Shukla. He was the most important person. So Mahatma Gandhi agreed. So for what? Mahatma Gandhi agreed that okay, if you are saying that this is the problem, I will come to visit Champaran. I will come to meet the farmers, and then I will take up their case with the British administration. So this is how Champaran Satyagraha began. So now Mahatma Gandhi has promised that he would be coming to Champaran. So he keeps his promise, and after a few months, So Gandhi ji and Rajkumar Shukla, they arrived in Champaran. You don't have to remember all these dates, but year is very, very important. Numerous amount of time this question has been asked. In which year did Champaran Satyagraha take place? In 1917. So these two people, Mahatma Gandhi and Rajkumar Shukla, they arrive at Champaran by train and stay at the house of Sant Raut. So Sant Raut is Zamindar. He has a good house. He is a friend of Rajkumar Shukla. So Gandhiji stays there. Prominent lawyers and Congress leaders of Bihar, because news spread that Mahatma Gandhi has come to Champaran. Champaran is in Bihar. So all the top Congress leaders of Bihar, prominent lawyers, basically they were lawyers by profession. So they were Congress leaders. They came to know that Mahatma Gandhi is in Champaran, so they also went to Champaran. So who were these leaders? Braj Kishore Prasad, Rajendra Prasad, who later became the first president of India, Anugrah Narayan Sinha. All these were Congress leaders, and they were, they went to meet Mahatma Gandhi. So Gandhiji was blessed by a senior Congress leader, J.B. Kriplani. He is known as Acharya Kriplani, by putting tilak on his forehead. So they gave blessing to Mahatma Gandhi that now you should start the agitation, start the satyagraha. District magistrate served him with the notice to leave Champaran by first available train. So British government came to know that Mahatma Gandhi is in Champaran. He may create some kind of agitation. He may start a satyagraha. So the district magistrate asked Mahatma Gandhi to leave Champaran by the first available train. Gandhiji disobeyed this order. Gandhiji said that I am not going to leave Champaran. Do what you can. And Gandhiji also visited Jasoli Patti, though there was a curfew. So British people, they have applied a curfew so that Mahatma Gandhi could not move around. So if there is curfew, you cannot come out of your house. If you cannot come out of your house, how will you do a satyagraha? So there was a curfew. Still, Gandhiji disobeyed the curfew orders and visited Jasoli Patti. Gandhiji was arrested and taken to the court. He was asked to pay a fine of ₹100 in Jasoli court because he has broken the curfew. So he has to pay the fine. Who has asked him to pay the fine? The court, the British judge. So what happened? That when Gandhiji was taken to the court, more than 2,000 farmers, they surrounded the court. They thought that if Mahatma Gandhi will be taken to jail, we will attack the court. So situation became very, very dangerous for the people, for the judge, for the police. So Gandhiji refused to pay the fine. Gandhiji said that why should I pay ₹100 fine to meet my own people? These are my countrymen. I have done no wrong. I am not going to pay the fine. His supporters gathered outside the court, mostly Congress leaders and farmers. So Gandhiji was freed immediately and allowed to talk to farmers. So the court, the judge thought that I would not be able to, put him to jail, because if I put him to jail, there will be a large scale agitation because his supporters had already gathered outside the court. So Gandhiji was freed immediately and he was allowed that, okay, you can go and meet the farmers. Gandhiji recorded the statements and testimonies of, just see what kind of a person he was, 8,000 indigo cultivators. That means he met each and every farmer of Champaran. He had such a kind heart to understand their issues, not like today's politician. He was a great politician as well as a kind-hearted Mahatma, to understand their issues and the causes underlying them. So now he has started to meet farmer, but his visit to Champaran was not only limited to helping farmers. He also saw that people of Champaran, they were not that much educated. So he established the first ever basic school. So you have to remember this first ever basic school started by Mahatma Gandhi on Indian soil. It was in Champaran only, Badharwa Lakhan Sen in Eastern Champaran in 1917. So this was done during the Champaran Satyagraha, when Champaran Satyagraha was going on. So now he understood that education is needed by these people. I need to do something to get them educated. So he opens up first ever basic school to improve the economic and educational condition of the people. He also set 2 more basic schools at Bhiti Harwa with the help of Sant Raut, because he was a jamindar, he had money. So these 2 schools were open in West Champaran and Madhuban. It was during this agitation that first time Gandhi was called Bapu. Who gave him the name of Bapu? Sant Raut called him Bapu, and press, the Indian press, started calling him Mahatma. So in some books you will get that Ravindranath Tagore wrote in his, or addressed him first as Mahatma. But Bapu, the name Bapu was given by Sant Raut. Under pressure, the government appointed a committee of inquiry in 1917. So now government was under pressure because Mahatma Gandhi was gaining popularity. He was successfully launching a Satyagraha in Champaran. Britishers were not able to stop it. So what was the outcome of this inquiry committee? The recommendations of the committee were implemented by the Champaran Agrarian Act of 1917. In Kathia system was abolished. So this is the first win. Gandhiji wins. Gandhiji wins first Satyagraha on Indian soil. So now he is becoming a tall leader. So this was the first major victory of Mahatma Gandhi on Indian soil. So first Satyagraha is successfully over. So now let us see the second Satyagraha that Mahatma Gandhi was involved in. So that was Ahmedabad mill strike. So Ahmedabad mill strike occurred in 1918, was one of the initial movements led by Gandhi. So it was basically the second Satyagraha that he launched on Indian soil. So was one of the initial movements led by Gandhi in the beginning of 20th century after his return from South Africa. So you understand all this. It was one of the formative events in the political career of Mahatma Gandhi, obviously. Ahmedabad was the second largest city of Bombay Presidency. So Britishers had the system of presidencies: Bombay, Calcutta Presidency, Madras Presidency. So Ahmedabad was the second largest city of Bombay Presidency, because Bombay was like a state then, and Gujarat was part of it. So Ahmedabad was in Gujarat, so Ahmedabad was also part of Bombay Presidency. So Ahmedabad was the second largest city and was a long established commercial center. So under the British, the cotton industry grew in the city, and Ahmedabad became a modern industrial town of 20th century. So the lump sum is that Ahmedabad was a big industrial city. In February and March 1918, there was a situation of conflict between the Gujarat mill owners and workers on the question of plague bonus of 1917. So see, during those times, there was a common disease known as plague. So in the entire of Bombay Presidency, after every 10-15 years, plague used to happen. So if it's just like some kind of pandemic like coronavirus or other pandemics, so plague used to kill thousands and thousands of people. So there was a plague in Gujarat. So if there is plague, workers who work in mill, they will also get affected. So the British government have told the mill owners that since plague is going on, you have to give additional money. You have to pay bonus to your mill workers so that they can take care of their medical expenses and they can also take care of their family. So the plague was not over. Plague was still going on, but these mill owners were paying bonus. So they didn't like this. So these mill owners, they have stopped paying bonus. So it was question of plague bonus not being paid. The mill owners wanted to withdraw the bonus. They did not want to pay this bonus, while the workers demanded a 50% wage hike. Because plague was going on, everything had become pricey, costly. So owners don't want to pay bonus, whereas workers want more increase in their payment. That's why there is confrontation. The mill owners were willing to give only 20% wage hike. Farmers are demanding 50% wage hike. So what did Mahatma Gandhi do? At this point, Gandhi was invited by Anusuya Ben Sarabhai. Who was she? She was the sister of Ambalal Sarabhai. Ambalal Sarabhai was a rich mill owner of Ahmedabad, and he was sympathetic towards the cause of mill owners. So he is a mill owner. So two groups are there, mill owners. And the other group is farmers. So Ambalal is a mill owner. So he is against the farmer, you can say. So Ambalal's sister Anusuya, she is supporting farmers, and she invites Gandhiji that why don't you come to Ahmedabad and help farmers like you helped the farmers of Champaran. So that's why Mahatma Gandhi is involved. Anusuya had just returned from England and she was a socialist. So Mahatma Gandhi used to visit England. So while staying at England, they had come in contact with each other. So Anusuya knew Mahatma Gandhi before these events occurred. So strike and outcome. So now workers are on strike. In March 1918, under the leadership of Gandhi, there was a strike in the cotton mill. So Mahatma Gandhi asked these not farmers but basically mill workers that go on a strike. If they are not giving you hike or if they are not giving you increment in payment, then just go on a strike. So that is known as Ahmedabad mill strike. This strike was called by Mahatma Gandhi ji. The call of the strike was given by Mahatma Gandhi ji. Please remember this fact very carefully. In this strike, Gandhi ji used the weapon of hunger strike for the first time. So in Champaran, he never set on a hunger strike, but now since he strike means what? Stop all work. Hunger strike means what? Stop eating and drinking as well. So it will be easy for you to remember first strike and first hunger strike. Both occurred in Ahmedabad mill strike. So many times this question has been asked. So if Gandhi were not there as a leader of this revolt, maybe these shops were picketed, but it was carried out in pure non-violent, disciplined way. So it means that Gandhiji asked the mill workers to remain non-violent. So if Gandhiji would have not taken the lead, these mill workers would have made the agitation violent. But because of presence of Gandhiji, everything went peacefully. So what was the result? The result was again successful. The result was that strike was successful and the workers got a 30% wage increase. Workers were asking 50% wage increase. The mill owners wanted to give 20% increase. Mahatma Gandhi negotiated a mid figure 35%. So it will be easy for you to remember. 35 is located exactly midway between 20-50. This is how human brain works. The third Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha. So the third Satyagraha of Kheda also occurred in year 1918. So till now you have seen Champaran Satyagraha, then you have seen Ahmedabad Satyagraha. Now the third is Kheda Satyagraha. So to remember the sequence, you can use this acronym CAKE. CAKE. Champaran, Ahmedabad, Kheda, CAKE. So Champaran occurred in 1917, the remaining two occurred in 1918, but sequence wise Ahmedabad mill strike came before Kheda. So question have been asked to arrange them in chronological order. So you can use this acronym CAKE. Champaran, Ahmedabad, Kheda. In Kheda, which was in Gujarat, the peasants were frequently plagued by poverty, famines, scant resources, untouchability, alcoholism, and British discrimination. So again, as I told you that entire of Gujarat, it was during those time, places like Pune, Surat, Gujarat, every year, every second, third year, there used to be plague, there used to be wide-scale famine. So because of all these problems, the local peasants, the local farmers living there, they were suffering from poverty, famines, scant resources. Scant resources, that means they cannot take care of their families. Untouchability, alcoholism. See, later on, Mahatma Gandhi became a strong supporter of removing, or banning alcohol. So alcoholism, so people or poor farmers who did not have enough money, still they were spending too much amount on alcohol, and British discrimination. So in total, the situation of the farmers was very deplorable. They were living in poor condition. Now what happened? The frequent famines had destroyed the agrarian economy and peasants were dying of starvation. Famine means lack of rainfall. So if there is no rainfall, you cannot grow crops properly. The cultivation suffers. So if cultivation suffers, that means you are not getting enough money to take care of your family, but still you will have to pay taxes to the British government. It does not matter. The British government is not bothered where you are suffering from famine or flood. You have to pay taxes. The Bombay Presidency increased the taxes by 23%. Now understand how wicked British people were. There is already famine. That means cultivation is not at its fullest. Full cultivation is not taking place. Still, the British people have increased the tax. What is the logic? It is exploitation. So in 1918, Gujarat as a whole suffered a severe epidemic of plague, and Kheda is a locality in Gujarat. Kheda Satyagraha. Kheda alone lost 17,000 people. 17,000 people died in Kheda. That means situation was very bad. Still 23% of tax increase. Can you call this a justified move? So these kind of policies were done by Britishers to exploit India. So further, cholera also broke out locally. So again, this is a disease. So plague was already there. Now cholera is also, affecting the population. So this was the immediate reason of revolt. You will say that why I am including these type of facts? Because these questions have already been asked. So only the best of the best students get selected. It is easy. Everybody will remember that, okay, Kheda Satyagraha took place in 1918. How many times will they ask the same question? So they have to come up with new question, more, pinpointed question. So please remember, the outbreak of cholera was the immediate reason of the revolt. The revolt was against the taxes. The government said that if taxes are not paid, the property would be seized. Property means the farm, your houses would be seized. So what did Mahatma Gandhi do? So Mahatma Gandhi was not directly involved, basically a local leader, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He was from Gujarat only. So this revolt gave India a robust leader. So till then he was not known on India level. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel took the leadership of this revolt. But Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel considered himself to be a disciple of Mahatma Gandhi. So he was the one who was leading it on ground locally. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and his colleagues organized this major tax revolt. That means we are not going to pay any taxes to you. So what had the government said? Government had told them that if you will not pay taxes to us, we will come and we will take your properties. We will confiscate your farms. We will confiscate your lands. So now Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is telling the local population, to the farmers, that there is no need to pay tax. We will help you. Just do not pay any taxes. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and his colleagues organized this major tax revolt, which was able to mobilize all the castes and creeds of the region. Everybody supported Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. The peasants of Kheda, peasants means farmers, the peasants of Kheda signed a petition in the leadership of Sardar Patel and called for tax to be scrapped. So Sardar Patel is leading. Then what is the role of Mahatma Gandhi? The revolt was organized by Gujarat Sabha and Gandhi was its spiritual leader. Now what did Gujarat Sabha do? So British have told these farmers that if you will not pay tax, we will take away your homes, your property. So the farmers, they donated their properties on paper to Gujarat Sabha. Instead of giving it to British, they gave it to Gujarat Sabha, and Mahatma Gandhi was the mentor of Gujarat Sabha. So basically, Vallabhbhai Patel was leading it on a local level, but on a larger scale, Mahatma Gandhi have taken the lead. The Kheda peasants were joined by Ahmedabad and Vadodara Gujaratis, but it was kept a pure Gujarati struggle. So all these satyagrahas that we are studying, they took place at local level. Champaran was in Bihar, and the movement was located only in Bihar. Same way, this is also a local level movement, limited only to Gujarat. So when the tax was not paid, the government sent agents to seize the property. The farmers did not resist, but they simply donated their cash and invaluable to Gujarat Sabha. So before you can take my property or you can take my home, I will give everything to Gujarat Sabha. So go and deal with Mahatma Gandhi because I have given my property to Mahatma Gandhi. Now go and talk to Mahatma Gandhi. So this was the approach. The result was that government reached an agreement for both the parties. So now government already knew that it is not easy to deal with Mahatma Gandhi. So government bent on its knees. They agreed for a settlement. So again, this is a successful movement led by Mahatma Gandhi. Tax for the current year and the next year was suspended and all confiscated properties was returned. So confiscated properties, because British have confiscated when the farmers were not paying taxes, so all those properties were also returned. So again, success. So three successful movements led by Mahatma Gandhi. Cake, Champaran, Ahmedabad mill strike, Kheda. Champaran occurred in 1917, whereas these two occurred in 1918. You have to remember that because of Kheda Satyagraha, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel became a big, tall, national level leader.